Good morning and welcome to Morning Coffee with Brigid after a day off. I'm Brigid Burke and today is the 7th of November, 2024. And today is a Thursday, so it's a little bit gray this morning. Good morning, Melissa. A little gray this morning, not as with the clouds. Sometimes with the clouds you can have a very vibrant sunrise, but this morning it was so. I hope this is the last hot day because yesterday was just awful. I was teaching a class last night and I was so hot in here. I was just dying from the heat and I just feel like, good morning, Suda. It was just, yesterday was just a really uncomfortable day physically because, like I said, it was like 76 out or something. And I just, even with the windows open and the fan on, I felt like it was doing nothing. I was just really, really warm. Yesterday was like summer, yeah. And yesterday was a day. So I will talk a bit about, because obviously I was off Wednesday. Yeah, Well, yeah, exactly. It was really hot. So I was off Wednesday and Tuesday was the election, obviously. And I've had a lot of questions privately about the election. And hello, Sam. Good morning, afternoon. So I decided. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you Tuesday night. I'm gonna tell you about what happened then, and then I'll get into yesterday. And obviously, like I said, I've got a zillion questions about the election outcome. And the predictions that went along with that seemed like, oh, everybody was wrong. So anyway, I had questions like, have you channeled Azrael? Have you found out like what he has to say about what's happened there? And the answer is yes, I have. And I can talk about that. Good morning, Pat. I'm kind of stalling a little bit, just letting everybody kind of log on who wants to log on this morning. But okay. So Tuesday night, I planned to do the live stream Wednesday morning. And I have been in pain all week. Like my body and my joints have just been like, I don't know, have just been in a lot of pain. So now Tuesday was really interesting. Now I know we've got the Mars-Pluto opposition. And I went and looked at my own chart because I also had like a Sun-Pluto opposition. Like there was, and good morning, Alex. I'm just talking about Tuesday night. It was like, because I was just feeling, I can't describe it, like all day Tuesday and Tuesday night, I was just like enraged. I don't know how else to put it. That's the word. I was enraged. And the last time I felt that, was on January 6th. Okay. Like after I got the news that, hey, there's a bunch of people storming the Capitol. And the thing is, the election results weren't in yet, there wasn't any reporting on what was going on. So where this rage was coming from was very odd. Now, I was watching, there's a live stream, I told you there's somebody whose live stream I watch Tuesdays and Saturdays, and he was on, and I was watching his live stream, and I was sitting here, but I was like, okay, my desk is over there, and that's usually where I sit to watch stuff, and then I turn and looked out here. And all of a sudden, there was this figure outside. It was like I would call it like a silhouette, but it was like violet colored. It was a violet colored, like light, like kind of being, but it was in the shape of a person, okay, roughly. And it was right outside my window, and I thought, what is that? Like, is that some kind of reflection of something in my room? Obviously first thing you don't assume is that there's a being out there. But at the same time that I saw this being, I suddenly heard, like, I had dishes in the sink downstairs. All of a sudden, my dishes, I heard them move in the sink downstairs. And then all of a sudden, my internet went out. And the live stream paused. It kind of did the circle thing. And I had been texting somebody. I was texting a friend. And all of a sudden, it was like connecting. Can't send. It took like another minute or two for things to kind of right themselves, and then whatever this was outside just disappeared. Because I looked again, and every time I looked again, I didn't see it again. Though I did a little while later, I looked out, and there was like, it was more like there was like a ripple of energy outside. I don't know how to explain it. It just looked like ripples of something in the air. And then the internet went out again for a few minutes. Now, mind you, there was no issue. People who were on my Monday Cantonia live stream know at the end of it that also all of a sudden my connection just died, and there was really no. Of course, I was talking about Eris, goddess of chaos, so maybe that was why. But it just all of a sudden just good morning, Joanne. So all of a sudden everything just kind of died, and so I was just kind of like, what is going on here? But I was just in such a mental state, and my body was in so much pain that I just said, you know what? I think it's better if I don't do a live stream on Saturday morning. I'm sorry, listen to me, Saturday. Where that came from? I think it's better if I do one on if I decided not to do it Wednesday morning, and then I felt like my internet router modem, whatever the heck this stupid thing is, started to it was just making a lot of noise. And as it turns out, probably the back just needed to be cleaned on it, because I can't touch the thing without the cord falling out. So I don't know. Anyway, I unplugged the whole thing, pulled it out, and I said, I'm not looking at the internet, because I knew Wednesday morning I had that editorial project I had to finish. I had things I had to get done. And I said, you know what? I don't want to look at social media. I don't want to look at email. I don't want to look at the news. And I don't know why. I was just feeling like I don't want to look at any of this right now. And like I said, the absolute anger that I felt was just, it was weird. Because I think a lot of people were going into the night feeling rather optimistic, right? So, I mean, and again, if there's anybody here who was, a Trump supporter, or, maybe didn't like Kamala or whatever, just bear with me on this one. So I felt, something just felt really, like weird. And so in the next, I finally, I finished the edits that I needed to do. I got messages out, I got everything caught up, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to work on my presentation for tonight's class. I'll plug the internet back in. And so, I plugged the modem back in, internet comes back, and I look, and then I see this red wave, and I'm like, what? Because as you know, the prediction was that, everybody, every astrologer, and not just me with tarot, every single, a lot of astrologers, a lot of other readers, all saw Kamala win. And again, whatever that means to you personally, you may or may not have liked her as a choice, but the bottom line is that was what was being shown. Even people who were, and I think, Melissa, you and I might have talked about this, even people who were Trump supporters, who were readers, just said, well, it does look like she's going to be the one to win. So I'm sitting here going, what the heck went down here? Like, how did this change? So I immediately did some cartouche readings, and the first I said, well, what's going on with this? And of course, again, Trump had enough electoral votes, but it was like, not everything was counted, so I didn't know if there was going to be some kind of final thing. But yes, I saw two predictions. Yeah, and this is what Melissa had said. Yeah, and it was interesting. I think there's only one person who predicted a Trump win, from what I'm hearing from people who are kind of, monitoring them around. And now you have a lot of astrologers and readers going, oh, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake. Here's the thing. When I did cartouche, I said, okay, tell me what's going on here with this race. Has Trump won? Like, what's going on? And I got Hathor followed by Urias. Okay. Now, what that means is that that's a female president. But with Urias, and then another time I had gotten Nepenthes, it says something is hidden. Something's hidden. Something's hidden, and somebody's, like Urias implies, something playing games. Mercury and Sag, not great for counting. I thought a recount was going to happen. And that's where we're kind of going to go. It may still happen. Because I had, because everything I did, and of course I have the astrology cards, and it was Pisces. Now, it's even more than just that the counting is off. The fact that this secrecy, this 12th house stuff is coming up. Seven of Swords, Urias. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist here, okay? To me, it's like if Kamala lost, she lost, right? But there's just something that's just so off about this. Now, there's a channel I watch. There's this guy called Cash Peters, and he has a really interesting method of doing things. What? Yeah, exactly. Cash Peters has a very interesting method because he draws like stick figures, but what he does is it's almost like people say to him, who's going to win this race? And he's like, so he draws both figures and then sees, like, mentally he gets a picture of them doing things. Now, obviously, they're not real things. It's like riding a bicycle and jumping on the back of a truck and doing this and that. Like, it's just, they're whimsical in a way, but they show you whether or not one is going to run out of steam, one's going to pick up. So he does this a lot, and he's done it for several elections, and generally he's usually right about all of his prediction, but one, Scruta says, I'll subscribe to your theory. Well, he usually gets all right but one, and he went through all the races. He got all of them right except one particular Senate race. He says, now, the Kamala thing is weird. He said, because, he says something is off. He said, and there's actually people, and it's interesting because he was pulling up tweets from people who were doing the counting, and they're like, these numbers don't match. And by the way, it wasn't just Kamala people saying this. It wasn't just people who wanted her to win. It was also people who voted for Trump. They're like, these numbers don't match. Something's not right. And the implication would there could have been like 18 million votes, like, not counted. And why and how, I don't know. So again, I'm not trying to start conspiracy theories here, but the red wave was very unusual because it literally did not match. And you could say, oh, people are spinning it however they want. Yeah, and I know that can happen. There can be spin. You can just, look at the spin. Right, you've heard this as well. Yeah, that there's certain spin that, if you like this person, obviously you're going to spin it to they're going to, their crowds are great and this is going to be great and blah, blah. The thing is, objectively, when you looked at the things for yourself, it was just like, no, I'm not seeing the momentum. And I just thought it really interesting that the end of Trump's campaign, that he just didn't seem to give a crap. I mean, first of all, he was just losing steam. But he had made a comment too about, well, I know a secret, this is going to get fixed and don't worry about it. No, you're very much in line with the astrology. We'll have to wait and see. You also said this was going to happen. Yes, and Azrael, remember, said, do not listen to anything for like the first 2 weeks of November. It's all bullshit for the first 2 weeks of November, quite frankly. And I know we're moving into Mercury retrograde. Pre-shadow starts today. So that's also not going to help, but agreed. I did 2 readings and got many cards regarding secrets and defeat at the same time. Yep. Yeah. So maybe it's a silent majority thing. I don't know. But she conceded. Well, she did. But the thing is, remember, I don't think this is something that's evident. So let me just get to what, and Joanne, I know what you're saying, but I don't think it is a silent majority thing. If it's a silent majority thing, I think it's actually the other way. And remember, all the astrology was pointing to her. I mean, she is like the Vedic astrology is the mood of the American people is mostly reflected by that. Now, I also saw a lot of Saturnian influence, though, as well. So this could be Pluto and Capricorn's last slam. I mean, because it was Mars opposed to Pluto here, okay? So it already was just not... There were so many reasons why this was just not a good time for this, okay? But I do, but again, and I'm not going on, I'm not making up conspiracy theories here. I'm going on what was actually said, what I heard, what Trump has said, what different ones have said, because Trump doesn't really always have a filter. And I think he says things that says the quiet parts out loud sometimes. And you're kind of like, wait, what did you just say? And people just say, oh, he's joking. Don't take him seriously. Don't take him seriously. And I'm like, I don't know. So, okay, so this was the message, this is the message I got from Azrael this morning, because I said, okay, Azrael, he already said to me, like, I've got like 10 messages for you this morning, so I was like, okay. And I was up early. I've been up since like 3:30, so, because I don't know, I just woke up and had to start doing readings, so, and the reason I was going to be late this morning is I thought Patricia Weston and I were going to have a reading together, because we've been talking about doing an exchange, because, I could do it at 11 o'clock my time, because she's in Ireland, and I said, oh, okay. I said, well, maybe I'll just be a little late for my live stream, but then she said, oh, no, wait, like, she's literally, like, blink and you miss it with her. If somebody else suddenly books in, then she's like, oh, crap, it's already booked, sorry. So, and because of the time difference, I don't get to her right away, so, in any case, that'll get sorted out when it's going to. But, anyway, so the message I got this morning, literally the first words that came were Korm Kichiski Homo Zigedosig, okay, which in angelic speak is literally the numbers are not the truth, okay? And then Zigedosig means their art was done at night, okay? So does that mean literally at night, or does that mean in darkness? That was literally what was said. Now, you might just be like, okay, you know, in 2020, everyone was screaming election interference and, you know, there was none. But the thing is, you have to remember, in those cases, they went, they went to court. Okay, they went to court. That was the quickest. Yes, that's what people said too. How did you count 20 million votes in like a half an hour? Like, and I understand, look, you know, sometimes maybe there's things that go along, but generally counting takes, you generally don't know, because I was told probably not before Thursday at the earliest would be the way that you would figure it out. And I understand there was early voting and all this kind of stuff as well. But that's what I got. And Azriel actually said something, he had said something additional about, they said they would be long on the counts that day, right? And and Azriel said, you know, he was actually in wonder of how it was done. So in terms of the miscounting, like he said, he's in wonder of it. Now, I asked him because, you know, again, now everybody's got their theories all over the place. What happened? And of course, people are blaming this one, blaming that one, you know, there's all this blame, all this anger going around. I said, well, one of the theories is, well, this is Russia, right? And Azriel said, no, it has nothing to do with Russia. He said, there was kind of a thing, and again, it makes sense that it would be, because last time when they wanted to challenge the election, they took everything to court openly after the election, lost in court, right? So this time it's like, no, let's do something preemptively. And the Dems won't challenge it because they don't want to challenge a free and fair election. Now, the obsession with, I can't tell you, I live in a neighborhood with a lot of Trumpist people, and how many things I got in the mail about a survey about election interference, the obsessions with election interference. And I'm like, to me, I always think about it like when you have a partner who is cheating on you and is obsessed with the idea that you're cheating. It's kind of like, and remember, we've been seeing a lot about projection lately, right? I mean, I'm just like, I don't know. Again, this is just the cards. It's like when someone's worried about cheating. Right, like, yeah, like if somebody, like if you had I've given the example, if your partner was calling you all the time saying, who are you with, and they're saying it because they're actually with somebody else, you know? It's that kind of thing. You know, we're obsessed with election interference because we're doing it, and we want to make it look like you're the one doing it. It's like a gaslighting technique. And, I mean, and again, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist here, because to me, but, okay. So moving on from that, what he says is, that's why he's saying, but what I kept getting was, I've seen third house stuff. So it was like, okay, somebody's going to slip. There's going to be a message, or there's going to be a communication that's seen where somebody's going to recognize that something like this went on. But whatever it is, it was done very, very subtly, so that it would be hard to pick out. But somehow, there's going to have to be something, because like I said, I think her third house is being triggered. Could be, but I was seeing it's more in the sense of message. Like, I kept feeling like this is saying, like, I was like, okay, how is this going to be resolved? And it's like, there's going to be a message. And oddly, Trump's campaign manager was so in the background. Yeah. And well, that's what somebody else said too. I mean, it just seems like, you know, they've got this big victory, but everyone's being, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's people out celebrating, right? But a lot of people are being very, she didn't claim victory, right? There's kind of this, and that's very unusual for them, because, you know, I don't know. It's a very unusual thing, and but to me, that's concerning. But I think what's going to happen is, because he's saying as soon as you see this Pluto turn into Aquarius, this is like the last gasp of that Capricorn energy. He says it's like things are going to come to light, and then there's going to be questions that are asked. Okay, because remember, Inauguration Day is not till January 20th. So again, now having said that, I'm not going to promise that this is all going to change. I'm not making that promise or prediction, even though there's the implication that could happen. I don't want to make those kinds of promises, because it could still be what it is. You know, they could challenge it, and, you know, there's a lot in place here. And and the fact that the House went red, I mean, and that's the thing too. I mean, to Joanne's point, the question could be is like, well, maybe the illusion is that the country is more not as democratically inclined as we all like to believe. I mean, is that another possibility? Well, it could be, but it doesn't belie what we've seen, the momentum that we've seen. I mean, that's what the truth will be shown. That's what I'm getting. Yes, and actually, last night when I happened to see Cash Peters' thing, and I'm interested to see if he ends up doing a picture on this. I want astrologers say what starts now won't resolve till April. Yeah, and that's right, because that's when all the planets will be going direct again. Now, Saturn goes direct this month, I think. So that's another factor, I think, around the 15th. And then the 19th, we have Pluto moves into Aquarius, finally. Like, no more Capricorn. So there's a lot here. But that literally, that was the message this morning. Gachiski is like, it is not, it is not, it is or not, you know. And that's when Mars will can't leave Cancer and finish its retrograde April. Yes, that's going to be one thing, and also by that time, all the planets will be direct by around April 13, I think they said. Everything will be direct. Now, for me personally, I've been told, like, you know, regardless of what happens, whether the outcome gets changed to the election, whether it doesn't get changed, it's time for me to go. It's time for me to move. So I'm literally feel like motivated to like I'm gonna go out today. Like I didn't finish painting the other day. I thought, oh, I'm gonna have time, and now I'm like, no, I don't actually have time. Like, and again, it's not because I think I'm gonna be chased out by anybody. Is this a big show of poise or something? You mean with regard to what the Republican side is doing? Or is it? It's, I don't know. It's something. But basically, it's almost like there was something here. I don't know. I think that's why we've just been told, like, okay, in terms of what people should do about this, okay, conceding, a show of poise or something with conceding. Yeah, I don't know. To be truthful, I haven't watched any of her concession speech. I didn't. And again, I think Kamala is just being very, I don't know. I think she was blindsided by the whole thing. I think she was in shock because see, this is the thing too. I feel like she should have done better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, I mean, there were people coming out in droves. And I mean, at the very least, it should have been a tight race, like 50-50, you know, like, you know, and because that's the way it's gone in the past. And you might say, well, you know, she's a mixed race woman, you know, maybe people aren't ready for that. And again, I mean, I'm just saying it because, you know, we've had all like white dudes and, well, one black dude, but all black dudes basically in the presidency. So, it's not, we don't tend to be a country that, you know, that leans very heavily towards that. And, you know, and again, so that, but I, you know, maybe, I mean, but the thing is what people are saying, and again, this is not just Kamala supporters, it's Trump supporters are going, something about these numbers don't add up. But they may not want to say anything because it may still give them the victory, and of course that's what they want. But we also got to remember too that Trump, she had so much support, at least visually. Well, see, that's the thing. And that was like when we were on last night, that's what Ali had said, but she said, I was in Allentown at the rally. She's like, people were like pouring out the doors. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of support. And to me, there was a lot of momentum that at the very least, it should have been a super tight race. And they're showing like her winning the popular vote, but somehow Trump had less votes, but he won the popular, like the way that the numbers are, people are like, wait a minute, this just doesn't make any sense. This is what I don't understand. Right. And that's what people are saying. And it's not, and I don't think it's just the media portrayal either, because you're just literally looking at a video of the rallies. You're looking at videos of what's going on. Or you're hearing people being interviewed on the street. Now, I mean, could they be lying? Okay. But, you know, it doesn't, there's something that's not adding up here. And I just think, so I guess this is the bottom line. We will see what comes out of it. Ultimately, in the meantime, what Azrael said, I said, well, what can anybody do about it? He says, you go about your business. He says, you get on with life and you go about your business. And he's like, don't worry about it. Get on with life, go about your business. That's pretty much what he said. And, you know, but there seems to be this idea that, you know, this is, that we're going to actually see, yep, just get up and keep moving. Right. Just keep going. Just go back to being ordinary or whatever. I mean, and we will see. We will see if this is all, if what I'm seeing here has any merit to it. But again, the idea that, well, the November surprise, right? Thank you for bringing this up. I think we all needed to talk about this. Well, exactly, and that's why I'm bringing it up, because again, I don't want this live stream to be political. I understand that people have different views, and I respect that everybody has different views, and I'm not trying to push my views on people. But I can see the October surprise being delayed to Saturn. And it's funny because Saturn is coming up all the freaking time with this. There's something Saturnian, like the brakes have been slammed for some reason. And remember, Chiron's involved too, because the United States is going through its Chiron period. It's hard to ignore and look away from, though. Well, you're right, it is. Interesting, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it's, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just, but basically what I keep seeing, and I'm not the only one who's seeing this, people are like, this is not over yet. And again, I don't want to make it just like, oh, well, I have to shoehorn this and make my prediction fit. It's not just my prediction. It's just literally the tenor of things and like something, but it's almost like, yeah, with the Capricorn energy, which is Saturn ruled, it's like, it's coming in and being like, no, we're not gonna, you know, it's like its last trick, you know what I mean? Before we move ahead. And again, with the warlike energy that's going on right now, war is about tactics, right? I mean, you know, I'm confused because I feel delusional with what I believed. Well, that's the way a lot of people feel. And remember, we've got Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces, and that's a thing too. There's been some square-offs between that and Aries energy. So the problem right now is that we don't know what's real. And I consider myself a realist, right? We don't really know what's real at the moment. And so that is why the message was, remember, like last week when he came in and he just said, literally just, and it's hard not to. Fair enough, it's hard not to. Just don't listen to anything for the next, like, couple of weeks. Like, give it till, like, late November. So, yeah. You can take that for what it's worth. You can, I don't think you're delusional. It's just hard to stomach. I feel the same way. Well, and again, I don't know. I think if I was going to try to look at it positively, I guess. I mean, and maybe that's the wrong word, but I would look at it as this might be a catalyst for certain other kinds of change. Because when you're in a situation where you feel like there's a fight going on, then, you know, but again, I was seeing, no, there's going to be an era of peace and joy, and I don't think it's because of this. I think there's going to be this hoopla, which I think a lot of people predicted, but they didn't predict it was going to go like this. They predicted it was going to be the other way, right? Yeah, so I don't know, but there's just something strange going on, and I just, again, I'm not going to start any. I don't want to start conspiracy theories. I don't want to do that, but because I don't. But there's just something is just not adding up. And I feel like at some point, at least, something's going to come out where there's going to be recounts asked for, because there's just something that's off. And again, this is not just me saying, "Oh, my person didn't win, so I'm sour grapes about it," and you know, I'm not going to accept. I mean, if that's the result, that's the result. But there's something that's just, in terms of the numbers, that's just it just doesn't. That was the other thing Azrael said. He used the word Alani, which is 2 times. So, and what he said was that she had 2 times the strength, which means she had double the votes that she's being allotted, which is the other thing he said. Now, you know, that also remains to be seen, right? But that's what was said. So, yeah. So anyway, that's just my, that was my channeling of the morning. That's what he had said. And, there seems to be this implication, but, you know, whether it's going to ultimately change the outcome, I guess it's going to be a matter of whether or not they can fight and prove that case. But it does seem like the bottom line is, however you want to look at it, the lack of clarity that's going on now is everything's going to be cleared up by the time we get into late November. It's like this normally Mercury retrograde screws everything up, right? But I feel like this is a retrograde that's actually going to correct something or make us go back and revisit something. So really to be pushed to just let things be for now. Well, yes, exactly. And again, I don't know. I just don't want to give people, like, just say, oh, well, the meetings are going to reverse everything. I don't know that. This is just what I've said, though, is that there was something going on. And again, in a normal situation, I would say, well, you know what, that's probably just, you know, because like I said, in 2020, there was definitely a lot of that. Yes, and I got the freaking surrender card again this morning. Got me freaking surrender. That's funny the way that sounds. My surrender card. Yep. And speaking of, thank you, Sam. That kind of gives me a what you call it? A segue into doing our reading for today. So let's see. I'm going to start with the astrology cards and see what they say today for us about this topic or any other. You know, like what's the need to know is on the live stream. Okay. Okay. So. Oh. Okay. Right. First card, Grand Cross. Provoker. Okay. Provocation. So, provocation to change. Okay. We're being provoked to make a change. Okay. And this is usually done in a very uncomfortable manner. Okay. And the environment that we are in is Cancer. Okay. So Cancer has to do with feelings. It has to do with what we're what's intuited more than what's seen. There's strong moon energy here. So this is about, again, moon has to do with what's in shadow, right? But this Cancer can also be about our sense of security. Our sense of security is being provoked, okay? Our sense of complacency is being provoked. Remember, we've seen that. We were talking about that. It'll be interesting to see if it comes up today in the Osho Zen deck, but the Nine of Cups in the Osho Zen deck, which is, they call it the laziness card, but it's the guy who has everything in black and white in front of him, and yep, I know what's this, and I know what this is, and he's got his pina colada, and he's sitting there, and everything's just, going all non-Euclidean behind him, right, And then our center card here is the Grand Trine. This is what we don't see. Okay, so this is the card of what we don't see. Now, Grand Trine is actually kind of nice because Grand Trine seems to indicate that things are actually, the natural flow of things is actually fortuitous, that it's good fortune, okay? But this is what we're not seeing right now, that there have been blessings, that there has been a flow. Now, if we're going to talk about that with the election, maybe it's saying the good fortune was there, but it's hidden, right? Which could be that, or it could just be for all of us that, there's this sense that actually things are about to flow into a good place. It's just not evident right now. And the advice or comment here is Capricorn. Once again, Capricorn. But I think as a piece of advice, Capricorn goes back to what I just said, what Azrael said before. Just keep doing your work. Just keep going. Just keep plodding along. The Saturnian influence just says, just keep putting the work in. We're being provoked to put the work in. I mean, I think a lot of us are tired. We're tired of putting the work in. But, put the work in. We need to put the work in. And the outcome is Black Moon Lilith. Mystery. Black Moon Lilith comes up when something lurks. Something's not right. And this is also a card of feminine rebellion, too. So, but it has to do with what's not seen, what's hidden in the background. So, and the thing is, Black Moon is like something lurks and you know it. You know what I mean? Like there's something happening. So I don't know. But Black Moon Lilith, that is a card of rebellion, and it is a card of revealing what's hidden, or of knowing what's kind of in the background. Okay, so I don't know. That kind of just goes along with what I said. But the Grand Cross card here, I think, is the idea that, again, whatever you think of the outcome, we are being provoked. We are being provoked to something. And Saturn may be the one that's provoking us. As this influence of Capricorn, Saturn in Capricorn, or Pluto in Capricorn goes out, we're kind of being challenged about our work and what we've done, and what it means, to meet our goals and to do different things. So we may feel that, I think one of the big reasons that this is so upsetting to people is because of all the rhetoric that has been around Project 2025, all the rhetoric that's been around, just all the things that have been said openly because there's not, it used to be kind of the politicians would like put the face on and tell you what you wanted to hear. And then now they don't even bother. They're just like, oh yeah, this is totally what we're into doing, and F you. You know, like it's kind of like that's what you've been seeing a lot more of lately. Sort of aggressively, yeah, this is our agenda, what of it, you know? And for the people who are disenfranchised by that agenda, they're legitimately concerned about that. Especially since right now, the way that the Congress is, there's no checks and balances right now, you know? The masks are off, right? There's no checks and balances right now. And that's, I think that's more concerning. Like, I think if he won and it was like, okay, we still had like a Democratic Congress or Democratic, it seems like there was this total wipeout. And that also just in light of the fact that the Republican-controlled Congress did nothing. I mean, nothing. I mean, people were just like, what are you there for? Like, nothing. Is something that is also kind of baffling. I mean, now it could represent a change in values. Maybe it's representing a country that still hasn't, but it's a country that's got to come to terms with, you know, what are you going to do to preserve your rights, your freedom, this idea of resistance to re-listen to our concession speech. It was very cleverly worded. Okay, yeah, I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it yet. I don't know if, to be honest, I don't know if I actually want to just listen to it because I don't know. I just feel, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes of it all. But anyway, they're definitely, that element's coming up again in this reading that I just did. And so now let's do our Osho Zen reading to see kind of like where we all need to be at for this morning. Okay, so our center card here is traveling, interestingly enough, the Eight of Wands. So the Eight of Wands is news, messages, movement coming in very, very fast. Okay, things traveling, things moving at a great speed. And the inner feeling of which we're unaware. Okay, new vision, okay? So new vision, Hanged Man, those things that need to be sacrificed, needing to see things in the heights and in the depths. Okay, so needing to see the big picture, okay? And also just an understanding the place of both the good and the bad, okay? Sometimes what we perceive of as a bad thing, you know, and again, I'm not saying it's suddenly a good thing, but it's something that might be impelling us towards something, towards giving something up or letting something go, okay? So that's what we're unaware. External feeling, though, which we're aware, we're beyond illusion at this point, right? This is judgment. It's like, okay, we've reached the end of the cycle. We see this. And, but this is something that's come about very, very fast. Now, here's the interesting part. The cards that are kind of on both ends, we have the Five of Cups, which is clinging to the past, okay? That's the advice card. Let go of the past. And the outcome card is the Six of Cups, which is the dream. Now, the dream for me, again, it's that idea of stop idealizing a time period that isn't, that's not real. I mean, Six of Cups has a nostalgia feel to it. It's the idea that we want to go back to the good old days. And that may be part of the picture here too for people. You know, because the message has been we're going to move forward. There's a lot of, I think the Capricorn energy right now is trying to say, no, we want to move backwards, or we want to just stay where we are, or we, you know, there's just this idea here that, as you know, there's very rapid change, and there's a desire to kind of stay, there's a strong desire to stay in the past, and that may well be the Saturnian thing that we have to rectify. That we may need to look at that and say, why are we clinging to the past? I was thinking about this the other day because I was thinking about, like, for example, I grew up in like 70s, early 80s, and probably the 1970s as a child. Not that everything was 100% happy all the time, but it was probably the happiest time of my life. I mean, I've had happy times, you know, after I got divorced and stuff, you know, but I did have a long period from like 83, 84 to like 2001 that just kind of sucked. I mean, again, it had its bright spots, but overall I was like, yeah, I could discard that whole period of my life. But certainly in the 70s when I was a kid and, I didn't, you didn't have the responsibilities and I was very active and playful and imaginative. I always look back and say, yeah, I really missed that time period. But if I really look at what's going on in that time period, if I go back and look at the history, I'm like, yeah, maybe it wasn't such a great time period. I mean, some things were good and some things weren't. It's like we can idealize another situation. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I think there's a sense that what we may be being challenged to do here is to look at the big picture and see how we're going to move ahead. And again, I think that's even regardless of what happens with this. Like, I think that the very fact that this happened, and again, if it turns out to be false, we'll find that out. If it turns out that the result is true, we'll find that out too. But my thinking is that it's saying, like, this is not the time to cling to the past. And what we may be looking at here is an attempt to, there may be this idea because that comes up a lot. That's what we're challenged to do. And a lot of us think like, well, of course I've let go of the past. Of course I have. But it's like the last night's class, we had some Hecate prompts because this was a class on Hecate and Persephone and life cycle initiations. And part of what we were looking at was the fact that, it's like, I think the first prompt, I don't think anybody took this one, but the first prompt was Hecate says, you can have full sovereignty. You can have full sovereignty, but that means you have to give up your old life. And a lot of us feel like, okay, we want to have full sovereignty means, you're really kind of going your own path on your own. And it's not about social approval. It's not about what other people, I would do this, but, I don't want to look bad to this person or to my family or to this or to that. What does it mean to really be sovereign? I mean, and to be sovereign means that you kind of have to let go of the past to some degree. You can't, because that's what often happens. What ties us to the past, because the devil card's been coming up a lot too. What ties us to the past is that nostalgia for what went before. And to say, but I just want to go back to this. I want to go back to this. And it's like, yes, but if you're committed to change, then you have to lean into it. And you have to look at the big picture and recognize that even the uncomfortable spaces right now are spaces of learning, or they're spaces of potential, really. They're spaces of what am I going to do with this, rather than despair that it's not like what it was before. So I don't know. We're being, we're being pushed in a new direction, and regardless of what ultimately comes out of all of this, whether or not all the idea that something went on behind the scenes, whether that gets taken to task or not, it does sound like something is going to come to light, and then we'll see where that ends up, if it ends up anywhere or if it ends up nowhere, right? But it definitely seems like it's saying there's definitely the sense of just hold up, wait and see, wait till this cycle is over, and let's see where we're at as we're getting through late November and December. So, and then that's the point at which, there's, but again, if you feel, I think right now a lot of people are acting still from that Mars-Pluto space. They're acting from that space of anger and aggression and, what's in shadow. Because I think to a certain degree, there is an aspect of that, right? But it's really, I don't know. There's a certain aspect of it, but we have to, we have to basically, the changes that we have we've allowed ourselves to be comfortable with. When is Scorpio new moon? We just passed the Scorpio new moon. That was on November the 2nd. Yeah, I think it was, or November 1st, I think it was actually. Yeah, right after Halloween was the Scorpio new moon. So, so we passed that and we're in Scorpio season. So yeah, we're in the death season right now, big time. So something is coming to an end. Yeah, it was the 1st, right? And it was, it's a waxing moon. Yes, it is. Coming up in full, yes. full moon actually will be coming up. Joanne's right; it will be coming up sooner. So it'll be about. I'm just looking at my calendar. I want to say it's about the 15th is going to be the full moon. Yeah, there's still a lot of astrology for this month, and it just seems kind of weird to me that people were saying, oh, it's all going to calm down like the week after Election Day. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to totally calm down. Well, even next year, it's not going to calm down. We've got Uranus and Gemini in July, and that could be a big to-do also. So I don't know. It's really going to be interesting to see where all of this goes. But I did want to talk about it this morning because I did get a lot of questions about it, and people did want to know what Azrael had to say about it. So, and I know everybody has a different taste or preference for how much politics we talk about on here, and I know as a general rule it's a subject I want to avoid, but this is just really, it's really interesting. So there's kind of like this, it's kind of this thing that's going on. But that is what Azrael said to me this morning. So, and I know just from what I just saw briefly, I'm not the only one who's seen that or who has said, hey, wait a minute, something's weird. So thank you for talking about it. Regardless of the outcome, I know what my guides are telling me. Appreciate it. You're welcome. Yeah. So, I hope you guys all have a, Thursday? Yeah, hope you all have a great Thursday. Some of you I'm going to see, I think Pat I'm going to see tonight. But today, I'm going to be working on a bunch of different stuff. So, so onward. And I hope you all, relax, enjoy the day. And I'll be back tomorrow morning. So, so have a great day, everybody. And, you're welcome. And take care. I'll talk to you soon.